All right, everybody see? So beautiful screen, momentum learning. This is for the middle level of ISEE English. This is my introduction. I do have a master's degree in education, specifically counseling. I got my bachelor's degree in English with a minor in psychology from the University of Houston. I was in the Air Force. I attended and grew up in this area here in Sugarland / Alief, Texas. And as you can see from my bio, the different places I was fortunate enough to spend a lot of time in different places. So I was very thankful. I love teaching and have been doing it for a while, as I said a few minutes ago. So the assessments or the course, are you guys seeing your little pictures there? Okay.
No.
So it's an independent school entrance examination. Okay. So it's used for admission to private middle schools and high schools, which you may probably already know. If you're looking to attend an elite private school or a high school at some point, you're going to need to take this test, depending on the school you go to. And then, of course, when you get to the higher levels, it's something else. There are different testing seasons. It's the scores are typically due early in January, but a lot of students have the opportunity to take the test more than once, which of course we recommend taking it in late November so that the results aren't what you want them to be. You can retake it again in December or January. So this middle level is for grades 7th and 8th. There are a total of 4, as you can see, tests. So there's what Momentum is offering. They do have one for the math prep, which will be Sundays 1 to 3. And then the one I'll be presenting is Sundays from 3:30 to 5:30. The dates are August 25th to November 10th. That is our opportunity. And as you can see that they'll offer a little bit of a discount. The independent school entrance exam, it's a test required by many private schools, which was previously stated. You have in this course, we do a lot of practice. You have 3 mock tests. So we do one the first week at the very beginning, like the first day, so that I can get an idea of where you're at. And then after we do some practice and work on some things and I incorporate some other skills, like I have some videos and I have some other material that I'll bring in that I use in teaching to try and help everybody grasp, and it's some test taking strategies and some things that might help you better with reading comprehension and vocabulary, such as roots and prefixes and suffixes. We'll be practicing, and then there is homework. Now, the upside to us doing it once a week is you've got more time to get some of that homework and practice in. So you have more, instead of it being a cram like it was this summer, where it's 2 weeks, 10 days straight, basically, which is a little tricky, even though it's summer. This is spread out. So you have some time to get some of the extra exercises done and become more familiar. So reasons to actually attend this course in order to prepare, it's small groups. You get to spend time with me, which can sometimes be fun. Sophia was in my class, like I said, so I don't know, she might be able to be a testament to that. Like I said, we'll work on roots and prefixes and different reading passages. I can give you guys feedback. We'll work together. We'll play a few games to try and work on some of this. And then, like I said, weekly homework and strategies. So the breakdown, the part that we will be working on is verbal reasoning and reading comprehension. And the verbal reasoning is synonyms. So basically building your vocabulary, and then sentence completion, which is still building your vocabulary, but it's also, do you know sentence structure? Like there are cues and ways to help you make decisions when it comes to selecting the correct word choice. So it's not just vocabulary. And then the reading comprehension, I think, is the toughest part because the content is, there's a lot of nonfiction. And I think the content is excellent. And some of the things that the reading information that they give you, while it is not fiction, so therefore story-like, the information is quality information and you can actually learn from it. It's not just a test. There is an essay aspect, but it's not scored, and we don't teach that in this program. You will write an essay, a copy sent to the school when you apply there. And so that's used, it's looked at, but it's not scored the same. Okay, all scores are converted to a grade appropriate stay 9, which is a fancy word, and it represents a percentile range. And that can change depending on the scores of everyone else. So the overall test for this level is 2.5 hours. Okay, so the verbal reasoning, like I said, I got ahead of myself. Vocabulary and sentence completion, consisting of abstract, grade level appropriate word choice. You get 4 different options. So you'll have a synonym and then you get options to choose from. And so we'll look at ways that you might be able to deduce which would be the best choice if you do not know for sure. Each sentence completion item it's missing a word followed by 4 options as well. And students select the word that appropriately completes the text. So you have to be careful, because if you don't read everything and you just go with the first one that pops up, you might get the answer wrong. So you want to make sure you read all of the answer options. And then reading comprehension, this section, the students asked to read a passage and answer items that are specific to that passage. There are 6 passages that they're not that long, I don't think. They vary a little bit, and they're especially written to contain contemporary, in other words, modern language or things that are pertinent to you, possibly high interest, hopefully. The passages cover a variety of subject areas: arts, contemporary life, history, and science. Now, your ISEE raw score is the amount of questions that were answered correctly. So when you're taking this assessment, each question answered correctly is worth a point. So neither answering a question incorrectly nor skipping it deducts points. So what happens is you only get points for the ones you answer correctly. You don't get dinged if you answer incorrectly, which means that it's better to try. For example, if out of 160 questions, a child answers 125 questions correctly, skips 10, and answers 25 incorrectly, you get the 125, which is basically what I just said. Throughout the school year, your child can take multiple versions of the ISEE test, which was kind of hinted at earlier. It's a scaled score, ranges from 760 to 940, and it's applied to each section. And that way, it's a way to deduce a solid score while still taking into account small differences in points within your child, or within, if it's a parent here, or within your test results, if you're the student. So, and then you have an ISEE percentile ranking. It's used to compare students to each other, as well as the score norm, okay, of the same grade and age group over 3 years prior to the test. So the form of scoring is provided for each section. So for example, if you have 99 percentile points and a child scores a percentile rank of 70 on one section, this conveys that the child scored as well or better than 70% and lower than 29% of the students in the norm. So some of this language for you guys as students is a little confusing, but for your parents, they could go back and look at this again so that they have a better understanding, but they may already know. So this is a nice little graphic that explains a little bit of what the school is going to look at. So the stay 9 score, it just makes it easier instead of looking at a bunch of different things at once. So you're on your range that you want to shoot for is between the 7 and 9, 5 being the midpoint, 9 being the highest. Okay, and so this is again, this is data. So as a student, you're probably not interested in this, but as a parent, this is what the ISEE test report analysis would actually look like. So you have, you had, example, you had 18 questions, you got 16 of them correct, which that's pretty good score. Same thing here. Okay, so you could look at all of these so that you can, and then of course this class is only going to be concerned with the verbal reasoning and reading comprehension. And then you have the other test, which is what the other course that will be prior to this one is for. And again, here are the stay 9 scores. So for Houston, local private schools or more competitive schools like Strake and St. Agnes, they ask for a 6+. And of course, the most competitive schools like Kincaid or St. John's, they want a 7+. So we're just talking about the local ones. Those of you guys who don't live here in this area to go to school here, it would be something if different in your area. Okay, so now we're going to look at some examples. So you kiddos that are here, why don't you take a couple seconds and look at this and what we're going to try and do. This is just this is what the assessment is like. Okay, you'll be given these synonyms and then you choose the word that is correct. Does anybody want to give any of these a try? Did you have a question, Derek, or you want to try?
I want to try.
Okay. So what do you think number 1 is?
I think it would be Outlook.
That is correct. Yay!
Good job,
Okay.
Derek.
Derek, this is Sophia. All right. Does anyone want to try number 2?
Can I try again?
Go ahead.
I think it's Admire.
Okay, so when you have like with number 2, what you would want to do is if there are any words you know what they mean for sure, then you would look at those first. And if you knew that they weren't rebuked, then you could go ahead and mark those off, correct?
Yeah.
So now if we knew roots and prefixes and suffixes, that might help us with rebuke if we were concerned or we weren't sure. But rebuke actually means to scold.
Oh.
So one of the things during the class, what I would ask you to do is if we come across a word that you don't know, then I would suggest that you write it down with the synonym, with the proper synonym, so that you could try and learn it. And we can build your vocabulary that way. What about sight? Olivia, do you know what sight means?
I think it's to quote.
Yes, that is correct. So if you cite a source in your writing, then that's what you're talking about. Good job. Okay, endeavor. I'll just go round and round. We'll just see if everybody can try. How about that? Olivia, what do you think endeavor is?
Waver.
Okay, if you are to endeavor is to attempt something. So another thing we could try and do also is use words, or we could discuss in class as far as not only just synonyms, but try to use them in sentences. And then there are some resources that I'll share with you in class as far as that would help build your vocabulary, definitely. 5, articulate. Sophia, you want to try that one? If you say a person is not very articulate or they're unable to articulate something.
Understand. See.
Well, I mean, actually, to articulate something is to communicate something or vocalize.
Okay.
Yeah. So again, this is not for you to stress or anything else like that. We're just practicing so that you can get an idea. So 6, if someone is gullible, what do you think that means? Did someone raise their hand? Derek.
I think gullible is yeah, gullible is usually it means like easy to fool. So I think
Right. Right. So that means impressionable. If someone can be impressed upon, okay. So if a person is gullible, it means they're naive. Sometimes you could say that they're innocent, they're not aware, they don't know. Right. All of those are synonyms for gullible.
Yeah.
I bet everybody knows comprehend. Okay. So obviously, because we were just talking about reading comprehension. So if you comprehend something, understand or realize. What about dejected?
I think is Uh,
Yeah, this one's a little tricky because dejected,
I
go
know.
ahead.
I think it's forlorn.
You're right. You're
It's like
right.
I
Go
mean
ahead.
both of them mean like sad.
Yeah, dejected, it rhymes with rejected. You know what rejected means, right?
Yeah.
So sometimes I will try and share with you a trick like that. So if you think dejected rhymes with rejected, which means that you're not, the thing with this one is though, if you don't know what forlorn means, then you're going to struggle with this one. But if you know what discovered, improved, and removed mean, and you're like, okay, well, those aren't dejected, I know what those mean, then you could use the power of deduction. Okay, what about barter? If you were to barter with someone,
And the exchange.
that is correct. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to ask you guys, do y'all have any questions? Oh,
No.
look, wait, there's a couple things in the chat. Oh, okay. Someone, Derek, you were trying to answer in the chat. My apologies. It's hard for me, like on the Zoom, unless I try and move some stuff around and I don't want to accidentally disconnect anybody. So, reading the chats and operating the PowerPoint and going over some stuff with you guys. So, Cynthia, did you have any questions? Or your mom have any questions? Y'all's parents have any questions? Derek, Olivia, Sophia, I'm pretty sure that you know what's up. So,
Yeah.
okay. Well, let me do this. Let's see. There's another, we could do some practice sentence ones so that you can see what these look like. So let me go.
I have a
I'm sorry.
question. So if
Sure.
you miss the class, is there like any videos or
Yes. Yeah. As a matter of fact, let me do this. I have a video, about why vocabulary is important and how there's a TED Talk that we'll do on how books open your mind and why reading is so important and things that you can do. I have some other videos. I provide some handouts as well that will help with close reading and other strategies. And we try and work, and then I provide some of my own materials just so that we can read something different and not just constantly be doing the test thing. I'm actually really glad Sophia is on here because you guys could easily ask Sophia about the class that she took a class with me before. She could probably, I didn't mean to put you on the spot there, Sophia. What else was I going to show you? Let me show you a little bit like I showed you the vocabulary so you can see what the synonyms are like. And now I think what I'll do is I'm going to show you, let's make sure this works. Okay, this is what the class looks like. Whoopsie daisy. So in Canvas, I don't know if you've used Canvas before. So some of we started out with me going over the test so that you guys could be informed about what the test looked like. And then we did some practice and I gave some handouts that I went over. One is to help you with close reading and annotation and author's purpose. And then there was some homework. That was the first class. Then the second class, I have a video here that I showed. Well, actually, I showed a couple videos and we worked on some synonyms. And I know we did and we went over some of the tests from the practice that everyone did. And then I provided some more handouts. There's a couple of games that I used with students. Yeah, see, this is a game, that's a game. This is a video about reading comprehension. So, right, the class is not just practice, practice, practice. I try to add some other things in there to incorporate it and make it more interesting. Now, what I had showed you first was the verbal reasoning. Okay, this is what the sentence completion looks like. So again, we're not going to do a whole bunch of these, but I wanted you to see what this looks like on the test. And this is some of the stuff that we work on for sure. So let's try these first three. the blank who controlled the country with absolute power. So in that first part of the sentence, you're going to pay attention to the information, context clues. So it's talking about someone who controlled the country with absolute power. Desired the largest diamonds be set in her royal jewels. So someone who is like a dictator. Does anybody want to give number one a try? Would you use the word actor? Go ahead, Derek.
Monarch.
Yes, you're correct. The fact that politicians were blank in their decision to raise taxes was surprising, as they rarely agreed on anything. So you have to pay attention to the whole sentence. That the second part of the sentence implies they usually don't agree, but this time they did. So which one of these words would work in that blank?
It would be D.
Yes,
And then
unanimous.
that means
Yeah.
that everyone voted for it.
Right, everybody, they agreed, okay? Which, so again, like with this one, you know, sometimes students have a tendency to go, they don't read the whole sentence, or they don't read all of their options, which of course I'm not implying that that's any of you guys. But I do find as a teacher that sometimes students move too quickly. So you have to read, because that second half of the sentence is a key for the answer. Then number 3, the Rocky Mountains forms, the Rocky Mountains form, it's plural. So what do they form? Blank. Unbroken wall from New Mexico all the way north to British Columbia. The I can't read. The Rocky Mountains the Rocky Mountains forms a blank unbroken. So it's describing what is being formed. It's 2 adjectives together. The Rocky Mountains forms a blank unbroken wall from New Mexico. What do you think it is? Anyone? Bueller?
It's
Cynthia? Oh, go ahead. Which one?
it's continuous again.
Yeah, it is continuous. That is correct. Thank you for playing. Let's try these 3. And then we'll move on to the next thing. Because I'm just giving you guys a taste, okay? This isn't a class per se, but I'm giving you a taste what the assessment looks like. Not the class is, there's a lot more going on in the class than just this. I want to make sure that you are aware of that, okay? It's not just what I call drilling, where we just do this over and over and over again. There are other things going on. So, but I'm trying to give you guys just a little bit of introduction as to what would happen. The powerful woman was blank in business, political, and social circles, holding many highly visible positions. So she was really involved. So what might be the answer?
Prominent.
Yeah, you are correct. Yay. Okay. Next one. Colia, the foreign exchange student who only had a blank understanding of American words and phrases, had a difficult time understanding jokes and sarcasm. Cynthia.
I think it's D.
Yes, that is correct. Right, because, you know, struggling a lot of times with different languages, you don't get the other things that are going on. And then last but not least, we'll do this one. Because a small group of people control all of the oil in the world, they are able to easily blank the price of oil to reflect their own wishes. Yes, Derek.
Manipulate.
Yes. Okay. So we're going to go past these because we could practice now. Just to give you an idea of the reading ones. Oh, this is cool. Do you guys know where Easter Island is?
No.
No.
Okay. Okay, so this is an example of one of the passages. Remember when I went over in the PowerPoint that they use contemporary stuff and it addresses history and literature and art and so on and so forth. So even though you're taking an assessment, okay, one thing that's really cool about this class and some of the things is that the reading, you're actually learning about things while you do the reading practice, because the information they provide in some of these reading passages is really interesting. So for example, and Sophia can she can be a testament to this or back me up. One of the reading passages that we had done talked about things you need to consider and think about when you buy a house. Because several years ago, which you guys were not, it would not even pertain to you, but your parents might get it. The market and buying houses into, like, say 2008, we read a passage about how dangerous it is to buy a house that you can't really afford, or the interest rates are fluctuating. So what I'm saying is the information that you're reading, you're actually learning as well, not just learning about test taking and how to be successful on this test, but you're actually learning information as well. And I think that's really cool about this. So, and then when we do this in class, sometimes I'll have you read, sometimes we'll do it silently, sometimes I'll split it up so that some of you guys will, like, one of you will read one passage and then share with the class, and another one will read another passage and share with the class, and then sometimes I read and sometimes I use accents and so on and so forth to try and make it more interesting, and then we go over the questions. So one of the things I try to teach is test taking strategies when it comes to this. So does anybody know what might be a really good thing to do before you even read? Sophia.
You have to go to the questions and see if there's any like vocabulary questions, and then you go to there and then you read the passage and then go to that question first.
Okay, so yes, excellent. So one of the things you would do now on these tests, they don't have a title and an author, but I always tell my students if there's a title and there's an author, you want to pay attention to that information. You also want to pay attention to how it's organized. You want to look at the structure of the paragraphs. And you also want to look, just like Sophia said, at the questions that are provided before you redo the reading. Because if you come across one, oh, this is a vocabulary word and it's in line 30, then you're going to want to, as you're reading, when you hit that, you could go, oh, wait a second, that's one of my questions. You could go ahead and answer it and then go back and finish the reading. Because sometimes when we read, we forget what we've read because we move too quickly. So that's just an example. So let's try and do this one together. First, the questions. Which sentence best expresses the passage main idea? So you're always going to have questions on what is the passage basically about. Then it's going to ask you about tone. I cover tone. How to identify tone and mood. You may think you know what it is. You may have been taught that in school, but we're going to address it again because it can be very tricky. And then the third question is your vocabulary question about the word outlandish. So if any of you guys have read ahead, more power to you. That's exciting. You probably have answers to the questions, but I'm going to go over this one with you. So Easter Island is a small island in the southeastern Pacific Ocean. One of the island's greatest claims to fame are the moai, large, human-shaped sculptures carved from a single piece of stone. On Easter Island, many of the surviving moai were buried to their shoulders. As a result, these large stone sculptures became mistakenly known as the Easter Island heads. Many mysteries surround the moai. One such mystery is how the sculptures were moved around the island. So, you know what it's about. Many of the moai scattered around the island were carved from the same rock quarry on the island. This meant that the rock was somehow moved from the quarry to the moai's final destination. The average moai weighed approximately 14 tons. Some sculptures were significantly larger, even in excess of 80 tons. Most of the moai were created between the 13th and 16th century. This was long before modern construction equipment could help move the massive rocks. As a result, historians are unsure precisely how the native islanders were able to accomplish such a feat. Oral histories describe how powerful rulers wielded supernatural divine powers. These rulers were said to have caused the statues to come to life and walk themselves around the island. Though many considered such stories to be outlandish, critics had difficulty coming up with an alternative explanation. So immediately, if I were taking this test, I would go to number 3 and I would think, okay, what does outlandish mean in this sentence or in this passage? So, does anybody want to give that one a guess? Nobody? Are y'all there?
Yeah.
Hello? Bueller? Olivia, you want to try that one?
I think it's C.
Yay! Yes, it's C. Unbelievably strange. Okay, so, but they didn't have any other way to explain, but it's just outlandish. So I will continue. One early theory was that the islanders transported quarried rock across the island by means of a conveyor belt system. This theory stated that trees were cut down and used as rollers across which the giant stones could be moved. However, by the time Europeans arrived on Easter Island in the 18th century, the island was completely treeless. This only deepened the mystery of the Moai, which persists even today. More recently, some archaeologists and historians attempted to walk Moai replicas across the island. They did so by tying ropes around the head and the base of the replica, rocking the replica from side to side. The team was able to shuffle the replica forward, which they considered proof that such a methodology was likely employed by the island's old inhabitants. However, not everyone was convinced. Some historians and archaeologists questioned the basic premise behind the walking experiment. They argued that the replica used in the walk was not representative of actual Moai weights, and that the replica did not behave as the real Moai would have. Thus, they argued, no definite conclusion could be drawn from the walking experiment. We are no closer to discovering the definitive truth behind how the Easter Island natives moved the Moai than when we were decades ago. For all we know, perhaps the Moai really did get up and walk themselves. Ha 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 ha. Okay, they're trying to be funny. But now, look at the answer options. Which sentences best express the passage main idea? So, some of these may apply to the passage, but they're asking about the main idea. Moais are beautiful sculptures found on Easter Island. Islands in the Pacific are a popular tourist destination. Despite different histories, some historical mysteries remain unsolved. Island natives may have used an unusual walking technique to transport sculptures. Think about that one. That's a little tough. Okay, Derek.
I think it's D.
Actually, it's C.
Yeah. I was thinking
Okay.
either C or D.
Yeah, so, which is fine, right? Remember, when you take this test, it's better to guess than to not try.
Yeah.
And I understand why you went with D, okay? Because it talked about the walking, and they did an experiment to see if that was. But overall,
I
the
meant to
entire
say C, but I said D.
okay, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm just explaining to you why it's C. Okay, it would be very easy.
No.
Like with this one, you know for a fact that B, as in boy, is not an answer because that has absolutely nothing to do with the passage. So you could get rid of that one, and then you're going to look at A. Well, there are sculptures, and D, that one sounds good too, but C primarily is about the different theories. Okay, and then 2, the author's tone when describing the weight of the Maya can best be described as, however, they tell you to look back at lines 16 to 18. So the average Moai weighed approximately 14 tons. Some sculptures were significantly larger. That's a little tricky. The tone describing the weight can best be described as what? Oh, okay, got it. What would you go with on that one?
academic.
Yes, yay!
This is like
Excellent.
back
Yeah, yeah, it's just providing factual information. Okay,
not like based on any of his belief.
okay,
Uh,
awesome. So, we've gone over some of the questions. Oh, yeah, that was, yeah. We've looked at the sentence, the vocabulary and the synonyms. We've looked at examples of the sentence completion, and we've looked at one of the reading passages. So before we go any farther, I'm going to close the PowerPoint because I think there's enough of that for now, because it's not like, so I'm hoping all of you guys, I'm hoping I'll see all of you guys. And then I can ask you and grill you and about all of your activities, all the everything, all the different things that you do. And nobody has any questions for me. Nobody. Are any of your parents there, or did they just have you guys log on to see if you might be interested, or what's up?
My mom is here.
Oh, okay. So does your mom have any questions?
Okay. No.
Not really? Okay.
Oh yeah, my mom was gonna ask what time like is best to take the ICE
What time
class.
did they,
What?
what time is class?
Oh yeah. Oh, never mind. Yeah, what time is
Okay.
class?
The class is going to be, if I, let me check again. I want to make sure. It's going to be Sundays from 3:30 to 5:30, and it starts August 25th. So I think that, let me look at my calendar. I think that's like, what, we got 2 weeks from tomorrow? Or is it next week? I'm so confused. It'll be 2 weeks. It's 2 weeks from tomorrow.
Are there any classes on Saturday?
Not, well, there are classes on Saturday, but I'm not exactly sure which classes are offered on Saturday. So you'd have to go to the Momentum website to see which ones are offered.
Okay.
Okay. I mean, I think one of the things that we do here at Momentum is we try to offer them, like, my preference, I wish we did it in the morning, but Momentum, they try to offer it, or we try to offer it later in the day in case we have, like, for example, the last class I taught, I had a young gentleman from New York. And then if for some reason someone were to join on from the West Coast, they're 2 hours behind us. So if we did it, it'd be really early for them. And then I know a lot of you guys have activities. So again, like the last class I taught, we had golf, we had tennis, we had, there were a lot of, you have a lot of activities, a lot of things going on. So we try to offer it at a time that would be best for you, which is, I think, why we did it on Sunday. So I don't, if you guys just go to the Momentum website and you can see or communicate with them and see what might be available. I hope I answered your question. Anything else?
I have a question.
Yes, Maddox.
So, like, what do the class mainly teach you about?
Well, what I primarily do, did you come on late?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So what I primarily do, is, well, what the class is about, actually, let's see. What would be the best way for me to show you? Because we did the PowerPoint over it. It's for the English part of the ISEE test. So we work on vocabulary. We work on answering sentences. This, basically you pick the right word to complete the sentence. And then there's reading comprehension. Now, like I was telling everybody else, we don't just sit and get, which is an expression I use, or drill in ceremonies. where all we do is test practice over and over and over again. I mean, we do a lot of that because that's what it's for. But I also try to hit test taking strategies. We play some games to try and build your vocabulary. I've got some handouts that I provide for you to try and help you with your English class even. You might actually learn some stuff in this class that will help you in your regular English classes. I personally think because I teach high school. So I try to incorporate things in the class that are same stuff that I use with my 11th graders. Because I think you guys are all very smart and you work really hard. And I try to give you things that are at a higher level so that it can just make you a stronger student.
Oh, all right, thanks.
I hope that helps. I do show some videos. We're not talking, it's not like we sit and watch Netflix. No, but I mean, I show videos that will bring you in and make things a little bit more interesting. I try to shake it up a little bit so that you're not bored to tears, because I know as a student personally, I can't stand it when it's the same thing all the time. And the teacher, I try to use different voices and I use voice inflection because I can't, I'm a teacher, but I always try to think about my students and the way I like to be taught so that I'm not boring you guys. Yeah.
All right, thanks.
Okay. Yes. Anything else?
No.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Are y'all good to go?
Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. I certainly hope
Thank you.
yes, I hope to see you in a couple weeks.
Okay.
All right. Y'all take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.